everyone. I'm thrilled to see you all. And thank you, firstly, just for your support. I'm going to talk a little bit about the inspiration for the book and a little bit about the content of the book. And I'm actually going to start by telling you a little bit about my mum. She's shocked. She didn't realise. So my mum loved art at school, but she was encouraged to do something practical. So she went to secretarial college after school, and she worked for the first 10 years of her working life as a secretary in London. And then she went on to have her 4 children, took 16 years out of the workforce. And after that, my parents then emigrated from England to South Africa. And at the age of 42, my mum set up an insurance broking business. And she went on to employ my brother, my sister, and my brother's wife. And it is now a thriving little family business, and she's still running it at the age of 73.
Thank you for that.
Just wait for it, I've got more. It is business as usual, with the exception that she takes a nana nap every afternoon. Anyway, so obviously Not Guilty is about career mums, and there's 3 things that we can learn from my mum. The first thing is that she took 16 years out of the workforce and started a brand new career at the age of 42. So these days we get worried about, can I take the full 12 months of maternity leave, and what's that going to do to my career? The second thing is she worked part-time for many of those years. And the third thing, and most importantly, she managed to be both a great mum and have a great career. Now, for all the men in the audience, I am going to talk about career mums a lot. But the messages are equally relevant to men as well. And you'll see with our panel session next that Liz has very much made sure that this is not a female-centric debate. I passionately believe that if we are all to achieve balance, it is something that men and women have to do together. And we're going to... I'm particularly in awe of the men that lead the way on this. And it was great to hear about Ian telling stories about coming in late to work because he's sort of walking his kids to school. And we're going to hear it particularly from one of the men leading the way on this later. So my starting point in all of this is that I believe that we are well on our way to achieving gender equality in the workplace. And I say that because of my own experience. I really believe that I've had equal opportunity in my career. So yes, we still have a gender pay gap, and yes, we don't have enough women in senior positions and on boards, and yes, there's a lot of industries that are a lot worse than ours. But I am very optimistic about the future. I'm seeing a lot of positive momentum, and just actually what CBA is rolling out, HR policies like this. I'm seeing targets and KPIs around diversity, training, and CEO support, probably the most important thing. So I do think that change is well underway. At one stage at CBA, both my boss and my boss's boss were female. Now, having said that, I do think this balancing a career and motherhood might be, and fatherhood actually, might be an even more wicked problem than equality. My own experience is that it is very, very hard, and it's probably the hardest thing that I've had to do in my life. If you are not careful, you can end up running around like the proverbial headless chicken, being pulled in all directions, constant feelings of guilt, and physical exhaustion. There's actually a book called The Rushing Women Syndrome, which is really about what we as women are doing to ourselves, and running around like we do. At worst, there can be illness, anxiety, depression, marriage breakups, and unhappy children. So, how can we have it all? As someone with a strategy background, I was inclined to try to think about the challenge strategically. My strong view is that there is no silver bullet. There's no single thing that you can say to a new career mum that will make it all go swimmingly. I'm very convinced that you need to have a holistic approach. I tried to do things a little bit differently, and I worked for 12 years. The core of that was actually the part-time and flexible working at CBA, which I did for 12 years in total. I started off working part-time, so I came in every day, but I'd work 7 till 1. And then over time, I morphed that into what I called flexible working, which was working 40 plus hours a day. It felt like that at times, but it's not physically possible. 40 plus hours a week. But I was aiming to pick up the kids from school 3 days a week. And then I was trying to catch up in the evenings and on the weekends. And if I'm honest with myself, the part-time worked really well. The flexible working, I was so grateful for the job, the retirement role that I was doing at the time, but that was definitely harder on me physically. So along the way, I had a lot of support from my employer in this. And I did, in fact, have 4 different bosses who all supported my flexible work arrangements over time. The other thing that I did a bit differently is I very consciously put my career on hold, a sort of mindset issue. And that might sound a little bit archaic, but it was a choice that I was incredibly happy to make. And then I began to observe my female friends and colleagues and how they were sort of managing this juggling act, and particularly the growing number of them that were working part-time in senior positions. And I'm very happy to say that there's a number of them here today, and their insights are captured in the book. So I'm incredibly grateful. I can see them all over the place. Thank you. You know, really exceptional insights there. So from my point of view, I sort of started to see it was a really growing social phenomenon, and that's really what motivated me to try and write about it, that and the fact that I found it so hard. So when it came to framing the topic and trying to bring these learnings together, I thought that the best way to do it, to try and capture the strategic nature of the problem and the holistic nature of the solution, was to use this business strategy framework called the McKinsey 7S framework. And that's the cue for the slide. Ta-da. So, I mean, some of you might not be familiar with this, but it is actually a strategy framework that's sort of stood the test of time. It's been around for quite a few decades now. And it's basically 7 S's, so strategy, structure, style, staff, skills, systems, and shared values. And, you know, it does bear a striking resemblance to some of the challenges that career mums face. And what's important about this framework isn't just the individual circles, but it's actually those lines between them that sort of signify the alignment and the sort of reinforcing nature of them. So I'm going to try and go through and summarise the book in about 10 minutes, so bear with me. The first S is shared values. And shared values from a corporation's point of view is normally the culture, and that's why it's at the centre and it's the foundation. But shared values from a career mum's point of view is really about the relationship and the shared values between her and her partner. And fundamentally, they need to get on the same page and work out what's going to make them happy. And I do believe there's now so much research on happiness that we can draw on that can better inform our choices. And in a nutshell, they are: work does make you happier, money doesn't make you happier, assuming you're earning above a certain level, and the most important thing that drives happiness is relationships. So I think those are all really important things to think about when you're sort of getting set on these shared values. The next S is structure, and that normally refers to org structure, but in this case I decided that it would be how a career mum structures her life. And as you heard, Ian very eloquently says that from an employer's point of view, an employer's obligation is to support a career mum or dad in whatever structure they choose. But the book very deliberately is not targeted at women who want to stay at home, or women who want to do 100% career, or the women that have the luxury of the house husband either. It's very deliberately on women who are trying to do a bit of both. And I'm a big advocate for part-time work as being a great structure. And if I sort of think forward, a few decades, I would love to see as a dominant structure both parents working part-time as their structure. So something like, in my mind, both doing 4 days a week would work really well. The next S is style, and this is a woman's style in the workplace. Now, I think we're much better informed now about how men and women are different in the workplace. We don't ask for pay rises, and we need to be 90% qualified for a role before we will apply for it. But I think these are reflective of a much more deep-seated issue, which is women's lack of confidence. And it's certainly something that I've experienced in my career. It's a really tough one, particularly on maternity leaves. My 3 maternity leaves, that's sort of when it, takes a real dive, if you like. And there's now a book about this called The Confidence Code, and it's a really good book on this subject. The other aspect of style that I think career mums need to master, I call it building up brownie points. You've got to build up brownie points and make sure that you are an absolute star before you go on maternity leave. Because effectively, you're going to end up trading those brownie points for flexibility when you come back. The next S is skills. And basically, a woman brings her own skills to the table, but she also brings skills on average by being female. And those are things like compassion, collaboration, not confidence, whatever the opposite is, and interestingly, risk focus and customer focus. And I do say on average because I think many men bring these skills to the table as well. Where am I up to? Staff. Skills. So you've got these skills. So what a woman needs to do is then position herself in with a supportive company, the right boss, and in a role that can be done flexibly. And ideally, that requires some planning ahead. And I have seen women now increasingly maneuver themselves into the right position. And of all of those things, in my mind, the right boss is the most critical thing. And I've seen it quite a few times where you've got a great company, great HR policies, but if you don't have the right boss, then you really don't get those flexible work arrangements agreed to. The next S is strategy at the top there. The most important strategy from a career mum's point of view is the childcare strategy. And from my point of view, it's a bit like a jigsaw puzzle of the parents' own time, daycare, nanny, grandparents, and it's a jigsaw puzzle that morphs over time as well. And I think we can use research again to better inform our choices in this area. And the research gives a big tick to parental care and a big tick to preschool. Where it gets very mixed and murky is daycare for kids under the age of 3. And again, I just think that really reinforces, the need for part-time work and the need for both parents playing a role. The other thing that the research says is that it is the quality of time with your children that counts, not the quantity of time. And I think that's, that really plays on my mind a lot. It is something I sort of almost obsess about. Obviously, my 3 kids are here. Please do not ask them if they get enough quality time with their mother. I can tell you they will say no. The next S is staff. And staff, from the career mum's point of view, is her partner. and also what they can afford to outsource. And I am a big believer that domestic sharing of household chores is a critical success factor. And again, there is research that suggests that Australian men are particularly bad at this. Now, many of you know Jonathan, and you know that he is domestically challenged. I have to say that I wrote this chapter almost entirely based on research and what my friends were doing well. Anyway, he makes up for it in other ways. He is such a fantastic and loving and supportive husband, so I'm not trying to undermine him in any way. So the other thing that Jonathan is particularly good at is he's very comfortable with outsourcing. And we joke about these things, but it is actually a capability that I've noticed that career mums need to master. And I've seen it, and we do it time and time again. We're very slow to put the domestic arrangements in place to allow us to do what we want to do. And I am very lucky to have been surrounded by some wonderful women at home, and some of them are here, and at work in my assistance. And, you know, it's all that support that actually makes this possible. And the last S is systems. And basically, this is about embracing change and putting in place processes and technology to support yourself. And that's about being organised, weekly planning, coping with chaos, learning to say no, and also managing stress, processes to manage stress as well, like meditation and that sort of thing. So in my mind, these are a bit like the legs of a table. If all 7 are in place, you can sort of have a harmonious life. If 1 or 2 are missing, then it gets a bit wobbly. If 3 or 4 are missing, then you just risk implosion and complete collapse. I do want to sort of say something here, which is the risk of talking about this subject and writing a book on it is that you inadvertently hold yourself out as some sort of model of success. And I just wanted to absolutely dissuade you of anything of that kind of notion. I have not been a perfect employee or a perfect mum, and I get things wrong all the time. And as I said, a lot of this book has actually been written as much about what my friends have done well as what I think I've done well. So in conclusion, I think we need change. If I look long term and I think about, well, how are we going to have this balance? I think we need change on 3 levels. At the government level, legislation, at company level, so programs like CBA is rolling out, and probably most importantly at the individual level in our own homes. I don't think it is possible for us to have it all, and I don't think it's possible to be perfect career mums, but I think by thinking about it strategically and following the 7 S's, shared values, get on the same page, make sure you know what's going to make you happy. Structure, part-time, flexible working. Style, build up confidence, build up brownie points. Staff, divide and conquer with your partner and outsource what you can. Skills, place yourself in the right job, right role with the right boss, most importantly. And systems, the processes that you need to put in place, basically embrace change and move on. And strategy, put your child first in the middle of that jigsaw puzzle. So I think if you are strategic, you can have the bits of it all that you want. And Quentin Bryce, there's a very good quote from her where she says, women can have it all, just not all at the same time. And I think that's right. And ironically, that's actually just what my mum did, just not all at the same time. So I am very much looking forward to feedback from you. I'm looking forward to sharing experiences and starting conversations. And with that, the best way to do that, I'm going to hand over to Liz to facilitate the panel. Thank you very much.